Assalamu alaikum, everyone. So good to see you all here on VIPCon. I hope you had a good break and good tea. So welcome again to this platform, VIPCon. This is a platform where we celebrate women, we celebrate their journey, we celebrate their voices. And today we are going to have a very interesting discussion with a very incredible panel of women. So I'm Arsha and I'm working with Descon these days. I'm heading their HR function and I've been in HR space for around 20 plus years now. So discussion we are going to have is around policy to impact the role culture in shaping leaders. So the role of culture in shaping leaders in the context of policies. It's a very, very interesting topic because we are going to look into the lived experiences where we'll see that there's a policy, there's a culture, are they in sync, is it inclusive? And your lived experience, my friends, is everyday moment. Is that comment when you come back from maternity leave and somebody just passed by, oh, you're back from vacation, right? But maternity leave, policy, leave is there, culture, not inclusive. So we are going to see all these kind of examples where we will understand the panelists who will come here, they share their stories on the lived experience around policy and culture in any organization, at any workplace. Before we move on, I would just like to share my personal story with policy, culture, lived experience. The reason I'm standing here today in front of you. So when I had my first child, or वो कोई 7-8 महीने का था, like every young child or an infant or a toddler, he got sick. And I'm talking about around 18 years, 19 years back when there wasn't these mobile phones or communication was not that fast. And my mother just found somehow me in my workplace to tell me that he's not well, and I rushed back to home. And while I was going home, before getting to my house, I already made up my mind that I'm going to resign. The mom guilt kicked in so much that I decided that I'm not going to work, I'll just resign. I took a day off, went back, told my manager, I'm not coming. He looked at me and he said, you take a break, go home, take 3, 4, 5 days, and then come back. I took that advice, but my decision didn't change. Next 5 years, I was adamant that I'll come back and I'll resign. And I went back with the resignation. And then he said a very beautiful thing. He said, you want to work? There's a problem. You have a child. We'll work around that problem. You want flexible hour? Guys, 18 years back, no concept of flexible hours. You want to work from home? No concept. No daycare. No such policy. But they give me a lot of flexibility. 5 days, 10 days, 20 days. I started bringing my son to work. There was a beautiful room set up just for him. And then there's no looking back. So there was no policy, there was no SOP, but there was a culture which is very inclusive, which is very enabling, and today I owe my career to that one incident. इसी तरह के और बहुत सारी stories, challenges we'll hear from our panelists because it's not always a rosy picture. There are challenges, there are women who dropped their career just because of such necessities were not there. And I just want to tell you one more thing. Maternity leave, daycare, nobody is doing any favor to anyone. That's a necessity today. That's addressing special need, which is equity. And we have to move on from maternity leave and daycares, and we have to start talking about things like miscarriage leave, like menstrual leave, like adoption leave. And we have to start building our culture more inclusive because times have changed. So let's welcome our guest. Thank you so much. आप खुल के ताली बजा सकते हैं. It's all right. So let's welcome the panel, incredible, powerful women across Pakistan who will be here. I would request you to listen to them. So my first guest is Dr. Lubna Ayub. She is member of the FBR on Special Initiatives and Chief Commissioner of Inland Revenue at the Regional Tax Offices in Hyderabad and Quetta. She also was the Director General at National Institute of Management in Karachi and is BS21 officer was an officer in the Inland Revenue Service. Welcome, Lubna. Please have a seat. Next, we have Maha Khan. Maha Khan currently serves as head of HR Hugs, Pakistan, and she brings on board a wealth of experience from her current employer. She's been part of Sanofi and Abi. Please welcome Maha Khan. You can be better than that. You can do better than that. Please. Thank you. Next up, we have Sehrish Khwaja, Head HR, Her Beauty, Head Talent, Fatma Group. Sehrish currently serving as Head of HR at Her Beauty and Head of Talent and Fatma Group and comes with the wealth of experience which we will hear as she speaks. Sehrish, welcome to the panel. Next up is Aisha Afzal, GM Administration at Marine and Marine at PSO. She is a seasoned change leader and currently serves as General Manager, Aviation and Marine. Wow, that's a tough one. At PSO. Welcome. Do we have Asma Yusuf in the... Oh, good to see you. All right, guys. Sorry. You see, it's not scripted. It's very organic. Asma Yusuf, currently serving as head of HR at National Food, is a seasoned HR professional and yoga enthusiast with 18 years of experience. Guys, what a diverse panel. I'm so blessed and honored to host all of you wonderful, incredible women. So let's start. एक दफा फिर आप मेरे समेत सबके लिए please. Thank you. All right, so we have questions for all of them, for all the guests, and we'll understand that how, through these questions, the stories they will tell us, how that has influenced them, their career, or career of people around them. So folks, especially women, please be mindful that if you are an empowered woman, you must empower another woman. You know, when you raise your hand for a help, somebody pull you out. So see the hands which are raised around you and pull them up. With this thought, my first question is with Asma. Ready? So what type of internal communities, employee resource groups, or informal support circles made a difference in your growth?
No, thank you very much for that, and thank you for having us as a part of this panel. I think there's been a few key support groups that have really made a difference to me in my career. I think I can start with, I think it was like 15 years ago when the whole concept of lean in circles actually started. And at that time, I was working for Unilever, and that's something which wasn't really very much heard of in especially Pakistan. So that's something that we launched. We were all trained, and that actually continues to be the mindset that we drive other things with. It's just one initiative, but I think it really broke that silo and really brought a lot of different women from different functions together to actually start talking about things we could do.
Brilliant. So how did that help you shape your career and everyone who was influenced by that group?
We had, we were all, so I was kind of young then, okay?
We are still young, please.
Right, so obviously I was part of a group that had a very, very strong mentor. And what I actually learned through that process was it's really important to be supported. It's really important to have mentors, and it's actually really important to have a circle in which you can be vulnerable. So that shaped me as, I guess, who I am today, and I try to do that for other women and men in my
Absolutely.
teams. Yeah.
Thank you so much. So next up, Aisha, I'll have, from a personal story, small moments, big impacts. Was there a small moment like being included in a conversation or receiving unexpected flexibility that ended up influencing your path in a big way?
Thank you very much for making me part of this panel and putting up this question. I would like to share that sometimes it's very important that it's not only a written policy, but it is the practice that we have been talking about, the culture, how people behave towards you, and how do they give you a seat on the table. From my personal experience, I would like to share that when I started my career, I think I was a management trainee at that time. So I was being called in one of the biggest committee or the major committee, executive committee, to make a presentation. And when I did that, the managing director at that time, he applauded me in front of the entire management. So that basically gave me a courage that, okay, I can have a voice and I can have that appreciation. Although I was the youngest in that crowd, a management trainee with no formal background as such of, working with such professionals. And then at the same time, people start looking up to you. Okay, what did she present? What was she talking about? That was just a small pat at the back from the managing director to a trainee. So that formed an association, a platform that the organization is supporting the youngsters, giving them a seat on the table. Another example that I would like to share as a personal story is that I had an opportunity of being part of many strategic conversations, or because I was part of the corporate planning team. So basically, I was having a voice there as well. By default, I was just sitting there. I was not supposed to speak anything, just be there at the back, keeping the files with you and, for any backup working at the beginning of my career. But when suddenly the leadership turns to you and say, what do you think about this? What do you think about this idea? So suddenly you have that confidence that, yes, I can say. So basically, that was the base. And one thing which I would share from my personal life is the criticism. And from my parents and from the elders at my home, often I have been criticized that this is something that you did not do right. You should be doing it in this manner. So that was giving me a constructive feedback and encouraged that I need to listen to others as well. So these type of small incidences, one from my personal life and two from my professional life, not a policy but a behavior, really shaped my confidence, and
Brilliant.
That's how I learned.
Thank you so much. I think, again, you talked about the lived experience around policies and around culture, so that takes me to Sahrish for the next question, which is from policy to practice. So organizations often have great policies on paper. What, in your experience, made the biggest difference in turning those into lived experience?
Assalamu alaikum everyone, and thank you Arshia for the question. So I think policies तब तक ही अच्छी लगती हैं जब तक पेपर पे होती हैं, practice में नहीं आती तो they are of no use, right? So I think the biggest thing which also inspired me to be part of Fatma for such a long time period, initially we had a female director, Sadia Irfan, on our first ExCom member about a decade ago. And today I am very humbled and proud to share that we have 40% females, ExCom female members at our board. And also in non-conventional roles, we had a vision, as Adar Musharraf was sharing, that we have a target. We want this % of females in our team. But how we are actually achieving that? So we were the first company in the Pakistan to have in non-conventional role our female marketing director. And then also we are proud to have our GM agribusiness, who is also a female. So I also got an opportunity to work at remote locations. So all these steps actually are the things which are transforming our policy into practice. And there are many others. It's not just easy to have females, and also equal attention is being paid to the males as well. Because once females are part of the organization, they have to work with the males. So equal attention is to be paid to both of them.
Thank you so much.
That's how it is.
Thank you so much. This panel is about women, so let's not give any credit to men right now. They are very privileged already. Excuse me. Just a joke. So my next question is to Dr. Lubna. Daycare to digital access, what really matters? So supportive policies range from daycares to digital upskilling. What kind of a support helped you the most at a practical level?
Thank you very much. Assalamu alaikum. Thank you for this honor. To start with, I must admit that I am an outlier in this community of brilliant men and women. I work for the civil services, the public sector, and I'm not from the corporate sector. I've never worked there. But my perspectives, my life experiences in terms of culture and work practices are unique, because we are faced with unique opportunities and also unique challenges. I will just cite a little summary of what I experienced in the year 2020 and 21. I work for the IRS, the taxation of the FBR, and this is a grade 21 position, but for some reasons I have always suffered on being without postings for months. So this patch in the year 2020 was one patch where I was not given any assignment, no job description, no portfolio, and I was practically staying at home. So it was very frustrating and also embarrassing, and I used to question myself why. So this opportunity, or this window of opportunity, came in 2020. I was on a visit to Lahore for condolences of a death in my immediate family. I went there only with 2 pair of clothing and 1 chappal. I was there after the funeral. There was Jio TV running my name in the patti in the downside of the newspaper, which cited my name, and it said, Lubna Ayub has been posted as Chief Commissioner, Quetta, RTO Balochistan. And I had just finished with the janaza and the Fatiha, and they expected me to join the very next day. I thought this is a threat and also an opportunity, because I was kind of jobless for 1 year. I didn't hesitate for a minute, got my ticket, borrowed clothes from my sister, borrowed her shoes, her handbag, and from Lahore, I traveled to Quetta to join as the Chief Commissioner, not knowing what to expect. Now,
That deserves an applause. A louder one.
No, there is more now. There is a lot more. I said my perspectives are unique. So from Lahore, from that janaza, I land at Quetta. I have never been to Quetta except for when I was 4 or 5 years old, as part of family holiday. I leave the airport and I see my staff, my commissioners holding pool and, bouquets. And they say, Madam, aap aa gayi hain, Mubarak ho. And I said, thank you, shukriya. They walk me to the parking and there is a car. I try to open the door, it doesn't open. And I'm trying, कि दरवाज़ा खोले, it doesn't open. Then the driver comes to my help and said, Madam, ये bulletproof गाड़ी है, दरवाज़ा बहुत भारी है. And I said, bulletproof? Me, Tom Cruise, Angelina Jolie, what? Why? मैंने तो फिल्मों में देखी है bulletproof. Why? कहते हैं, you have landed in Balochistan from Karachi. You are at risk. And I thought, oh my God, I thought it was just a job. मैं बड़ी मामूली सी चीज़ हूँ. So they make me sit in a bulletproof car. That bulletproof car takes me to an office which has a residence aside to it. Bulletproof दीवारें, CCTV camera, barbed wires, हज़ारों guards. And I thought, कि मैं कोर कमांडर हूँ, क्या है? I'm just perplexed. And I enter and I find that this is Pakistan, but not Pakistan at all. It's Balochistan. And I'm there to collect taxes from the entire province. I'm the first lady officer who has been posted there, and also the last, because I am sure no one will venture there. I went and I came back alive. I was there for 2 years, and this is the year 2020-21, peak of COVID. So we have sanitizers and masks and dur baithe and phone pe kaam kare, or all digital, no public contact. And then it is also the rise and strengthening of Taliban in Balochistan. So it's all parda, it's all chadar. I'm wearing a chadar. I don't otherwise. मैं इसी तरह रहती हूँ. I'm wearing a chadar, and then there are guards outside my office. How do I collect taxes, meet the budget target in these situations? I managed. That position, जो मुझे मिली थी as chief commissioner, was vacant for 12 months. No Baloch was willing to take that position. No Pashtun was willing to take that position. Balochistan, इन्हीं दो ethnicities का है, the Pashto speaking and the Balochi speaking. No one is willing to come to Balochistan to work. उसी domicile पे उनको job मिली है. And I, a regular urban Karachiite, and I'm a Memon. A Memon, imagine, please, this is this busting of myths. So you have jokes on Memons. Here you see a Memon civil servant working in Quetta, 2 years, COVID, Taliban, bulletproofs. Now, no cooperation. No one is ready to, take me seriously. कोई मैडम नहीं कहता यहाँ मैं बाजी हूँ या अम्मा हूँ या भाभी हूँ. So people come to my office, भाभी, अम्मा, बाजी, and I'm wearing a chadar, अपने आप को cover over करके, and I'm not sure what to expect. And it's -8. No electricity 5-6 hours, no gas 5-6 hours, and we have sui gas coming from Balochistan. Harsh realities. ये बलूचिस्तान की reality है. No gas, no electricity, no security. Every 2-3 days cracker है. 14 अगस्त आया, I wanted to have charaga because customer है हमारा कि हम 14 अगस्त सेलिब्रेट करते हैं. बिल्डिंग पे चरागा होता है, नेशनल एंथम होता है और थोड़ा बहुत मिली नक में. They said no, BLA का threat है. No झंडा on the building, no चरागा. So on 14 अगस्त पूरा पाकिस्तान सेलिब्रेट कर रहे हैं, हमने लाइट्स ऑफ की हुई है. So threatening. Every 2-3 days हमारी गाड़ी गुजरती थी, पीछे से बॉम्ब ब्लास्ट होता था, यहाँ क्रैकर होता था. So I was traveling in a non-GP car which is bulletproof, and then the realities were very harsh. How did I manage? I managed through resolve, through resilience. Okay, कोई नहीं काम करना चाहता, मैं करूँगी. मुझे अपने पहले ही 12 महीने से घर बिठाया हुआ था, अपॉर्चुनिटी मिल गई, I'll prove myself. यहाँ को बलोच नहीं काम करता, मेमन करेगा. यहाँ को पठान नहीं काम करता, मेमन करेगा. I did. That year, 30th of June, we excelled the budget target by 148%. 148%.
Wow.
In that time, जहाँ हर चीज़ खराब है, जहाँ हर चीज़ difficult है, जहाँ life threat है, वहाँ पर टैक्सेस कलेक्ट करना, एंड फ्रॉम अ टेरिटरी दैट इज़ टोटली अनडॉक्यूमेंटेड, दैट इज़ अनबैंक्ड. वहाँ बैंक का कॉन्सेप्ट ही नहीं है. वहाँ पर रसीद लिखने का, पर्ची बनाने का कॉन्सेप्ट ही नहीं है. पीपल ट्रैवल इन आटे की बोरियाँ कैरिंग मनी. देयर आर बिलियनर्स इन क्वेटा. इट इज़ अ वेरी रिच टेरिटरी बट ऑल अनटैक्स्ड. There is a culture sector of coal mines. आपने देखा होगा वो जो assassination होती हैं पंजाबी एंड सराइकी मजदूरों की, 800 रुपये दिहाड़ी पे वो काम करते हैं उन कोयले की कानों में. इट्स अ मैसिव. क्या सऊदी अरब के पास पैसा होगा जो बलूचिस्तान के पास है? सेम फॉर CPEC, सेम फॉर रेकोडेक. It's unimaginable level of wealth and assets and resources, all untaxed, all ungovernment. So I wanted to go and visit the coal mines, the koile ke kane. They said no. वहाँ तो ठेकेदार बैठे. There are tribes who own those mountains, those mines. You just cannot step there. अब तो औरत है, आप जा ही नहीं सकती. हमारे staff, हमारा I'm overstepping my time.
Yes.
I am.
Sorry.
I'll just stop here. I'll stop here.
No, it's a story of resilience, guys. Round of applause for Dr. Lubna. Only a brave woman can do this. All for you, Dr. Lubna.
Yeah.
Thank you so much.
Yeah,
With
yeah.
this, I'll move on to Maha. When culture felt short, Maha, was there ever a time when the workplace culture didn't support you? What would you have needed at that point to feel more included or empowered?
So on that, Assalamu alaikum. First of all, I want to thank everyone for giving me this opportunity, and Assalamu alaikum everyone. This experience is not when I was working in Pakistan. This is a different country that I'm going to talk about. So definitely the culture was different, and it's in Africa. So obviously, they were very conservative. They're in the top management. There were very few women. So that was one challenge. Another challenge was I was a foreigner. So these were the two things that my ex-boss basically told me. These are the two big challenges that you have to face. And so in the beginning, yes, a lot of times, I was not invited to events or dinners or some meetings, which were important, and I needed to be a part of that. That was a time when I was heading supply chain there. So as a lead of a department, you need to be there for certain key decisions of the organization. And unfortunately, because of this non-inclusive culture, I would say, I was not part of some key discussions or key events. But gradually, I was able to, change that for myself. But I personally feel what HR back then could have done, because they were very aware what is happening. One, they knew this was going to happen. Two, they even witnessed it and discussed it with me that, they've noticed these kind of things happening. But unfortunately, they did not do or take any action to, undo it or make it better. Just knowing and being aware is definitely an important step and a first step. But, there's more that you need from the top management, from the HR, to, step in this kind of situation and make the environment more enabling and inclusive for the employees. So, thank you.
Thank you so much. So I think you have heard all of the panelists, the incredible stories, the challenging stories, the stories, gave us goosebumps right now. These are all the lived experience in an organization, in a workplace, where policy and culture goes hand in hand. Policies are fundamental. Organizations must have them. They are the basis for any culture to flourish. But if you don't have positive, right lived experiences, right cultural practices, policies are for no use. You have maternity leave, but your colleagues tell you that you're coming back from vacation, and that's a very common example. You can raise your hands if you have seen that kind of a comment. I have. Look around, there's so many hands up. So daycare and flexible hours, flexible working, work from home, all of these things are important as a platform for any organization to have. But all of us, HR, non-HR, business, we have to make it inclusive. We have to make everyone valued in the organization for whatever level they are and whatever contribution they are doing. With this, I'll move on to Aisha. You're in a very non-traditional field, and I want to ask you a question that have you ever had to challenge traditional definition of leadership to stay true to your values, and how did your organization culture respond or didn't respond?
Thank you very much again for the question. Very true that the field that I am heading right now, I'm the first head of the commercial function in Pakistan State Oil. So when I was being placed here, I would just like to share a few comments. I was being told that you can see that if you can work on it, because, it's the matter of planes, and if any plane falls down, so, because we fuel the plane, so that's why. And I was like, okay. So this was not coming as a positive gesture to me. I mean, it's taken as a comment which can, kind of put you down that, okay, I'm in this field, how am I going to work? So usually, again, I'll go back to my first question where I answered. The confidence that I started having at the beginning of my cultural experience within PSO, whereby I was getting appreciation, where I was getting a seat on the table. So the confidence started building up there. So at that point in time, when I got this comment, so I told them that I think it's very important. That it's not about that the plane is going to fall, but why would we let the plane fall? Why can't we be positive? Because at the end of the day, it's the organization thing, and it's all of us who are involved. The supply team, the operation team. So if something happens, it's going to be all of us in that. So sometimes it becomes very important that when something or some comments come to women, which is in a negative connotation, we must stand up for our values, we must answer them. Often it happens that we take a step back, like, okay, there's something wrong with it. Why is that so? I would just like to take a few minutes and explain that as well. Because from a very young age, women are being taught that, okay, you have to be careful in everything that you do. Non-conventional roles and conventional roles, there are some things which are being attached to a girl and some things are not. कहा जाता है कि जी गुड़ियों से आप खेल सकते हैं, आप गाड़ियों से नहीं. बहुत हमारा एक माशरा का तबका ऐसा है जिसमें ऐसी ही परवरिश होती है. So the women grow up listening to this, I have to be careful, I have to be protected, I have to be with people, I can't move alone, I can't do this thing alone. So they are already growing up with this kind of, I would say, nurturing at the back of their mind. So when they enter a professional field, the confidence level is not as equivalent as that of the men who are coming from a very, very open background and with all kind of support that they are getting. Again, I'm talking about masses. Now about the privileged ones who are, working in good places and who've got a very good family support. So usually in that environment, it's very important that we keep on standing for ourselves. What helped me in that was listening to the stories of the other women. Whenever this thing happened, I always kept mind in the stories of resilience from the women leaders across the world. I'm really fond of listening to YouTube channels, podcasts, and how the women in business, be that Michelle Obama, be that Oprah Winfrey, be that Pakistani heroes, I always listen to them that how did they come over the issues. They have the same kind of problems. They always had this problem that how we are going to put our voices on the table. Sometimes it's the cultural difference, sometimes black or white across the world. But what helps is that you don't have to give up. For that, the courage is needed. So without quoting any particular example, there are many, many cases whereby just the statements, you are passing by, yaar, aap logon ko to bada fayda hai, aap logon ko to ye policy bhi बनाई हुई है,
That's a very good point.
आप लोगों को तो ख़वातीन को जो है वो तो टाइम पे इतनी जल्दी, we have a policy that we offer actually the van services to the females. So कभी-कभी जब strike या कोई situation होती है, so usually we let them go कि आप लोग चले जाएं ताकि safe हो. यार आप लोगों को बड़ा है, हमें कोई मसला नहीं है, हम बैठे हैं.
Half day करके जा रही हैं. I understand that.
So,
On that point, the message to everyone here, mostly women, that please, it's okay to point such behaviors out. It's okay to react. It's okay to say that stop it. In meetings, when jokes are targeted to women, when the language is more discriminatory toward women, when curses are more women-oriented, it's okay to stand up and say, no, this will not continue, and you can do it. Our background or our nurturing or our brought up is very good, but when it comes to your respect, your dignity, your existence, your presence, you have to stand up and say, no, this behavior will not continue. With this note, we come to the end of this panel, and I have a last question. It's up to the panelists if they want to make a comment or if they want to answer, or if they don't want to, it's totally up to them. It's a policy wish list. If you could introduce one new policy or cultural shift to make workplaces more supportive for women, what would it be and why? Just 30 seconds. We ran out of time, so just 30 seconds. Anybody? Asma, you want to go first?
Sure. So I think we've got a lot of policies in place. We have adoption leave, we've got maternity leave, paternity leave, sick leave. I think one, if I could introduce, would just be a general blanket caregiver leave. And that's where the whole empathy piece comes in, the whole women as life managers thing comes in, where you can actually take this leave not just to care for yourself, but for your parents, children, whatever that might be, and you don't have to justify it. So call it empathy leave, call it caregiver leave, but
Brilliant.
that's what I would introduce.
Brilliant. That's a brilliant work you guys are doing. No? Yes? Anybody wants to make a comment?
What I'm going to say is something which everyone keeps talking about, nothing new, but I think we really need to reinforce this thing, that flexible work hours and hybrid working is something which is very, very important, not just for women, for everyone in this day and age. And I think in Pakistan, unfortunately, we are not really practicing that as much as we should. So that's an area, if we could all work towards that and make it more productive for ourselves. So I think the basic thing starts from the mindset, because in Pakistan, the concept is if you're working from home or you're taking flexi hours, then you're not contributing, you're not adding value, you're just having fun and partying. That's the mindset. As I think, as an individual, it's our responsibility to change that.
Brilliant.
Yeah.
That is where I will have my
Thank
final
you.
comment. We have cultural specialists sitting here. The culture starts with you. The change starts with you. And there is no limit. If you want to change the culture and these kind of a passing comment and lived experience around you, you can do it, my friends. Yes, you can do it. One thing I would want to bring in the culture of any organization is that when you address special need of any diversity, gender, generation, geography, whatever, you're not doing any favor to anyone. This is how it should be. This is the necessity. This is inclusion, and this is equity. With this, I would like to thank WIPCON. Only WIPCON is a platform where we can hear these kind of stories and these kind of audience. I never met a person like Dr. Lubna. All my panelists, I'm meeting them here. So thank you very much, WIPCON, and the leadership of WIPCON for arranging this. Please, a big round of applause for WIPCON and all my panelists. Thank you so much.